FBI Director invokes Fifth Amendment over Epstein case, 47 names shielded. This wasn't how the FBI expected the morning to go. What was supposed to be another controlled hearing turned into something far more dangerous, a moment that could shatter years of secrecy. Just minutes earlier, a congressman walked into the chamber carrying a file so massive it triggered the security scanner. Twice. Guards exchanged looks. He didn't explain. He simply tapped the stack in his arms, smiled calmly, and said, "This ends today." Across the room, FBI Director Kash Patel sat stone-faced at the witness table. But for a split second, just long enough for the cameras to catch it, the confidence cracked. And in the next 12 minutes, everything people thought they knew about the Epstein investigation, about federal law enforcement, about who is truly protected in America, was about to change. This wasn't another hearing. This was the moment the wall started coming down. Let me set the scene. Senate Intelligence Committee, room 216. Just before 10 a.m., the room was already overflowing, every seat filled, reporters lined against the walls, cameras locked in from every angle. But then something unusual happened. The congressman didn't arrive alone. 3 staffers followed him, each carrying identical black cases. They placed them on the table in front of him. Click, click, click. All 3 cases opened at the same time. Inside were perfectly organized stacks of documents, color-coded tabs, thick bundles of papers, not rushed, not random. This had been prepared carefully for months. Patel watched. His legal team watched. And in their faces was that brief moment of realization. They hadn't walked into a routine hearing. They had walked into a storm. For the first part of the session, everything stayed normal. Questions about budgets, cyber threats, national security priorities. Patel gave tight answers, no details, running out the clock. He checked his watch, almost relaxed. Then the congressman picked up the microphone, and the atmosphere shifted instantly. People leaned forward, camera lenses adjusted. Even the court reporter paused. "Director Patel," he said, "I want to discuss a package that arrived at my office 36 hours ago." Patel barely reacted. He had heard it all before. Leaks, anonymous tips, rumors. He was already preparing his usual dismissal. I'm not asking if you're aware," the congressman cut in. "I'm telling you what was inside." He opened the first case. Inside was a USB drive, he said, and on that drive were over 2,000 pages of internal FBI communications. Emails, memos, internal directives, reports. Covering a 6-year period, from 2019 through early 2025. Then he paused, letting the number hang in the air. Every single document came from inside the FBI. And together, they outline what appears to be a coordinated effort to bury critical parts of the Epstein investigation. The room went completely still. Not the polite silence of hearings, the heavy silence of shock, the kind where people realize something historic just dropped. Patel leaned forward. "Senator, I strongly reject any suggestion that the Bureau engaged in—" "You can reject it all you want," the congressman said calmly, "but it won't change what's written here." He lifted the first document. "Let's begin." The congressman lifted the first page. June 14th, 2019, he said slowly. FBI Miami Field Office to FBI Headquarters. The subject line was impossible to miss. Epstein investigation. High-profile individuals. He held it up so every camera could lock in. According to the memo, Miami agents had identified more than 30 people tied directly to Epstein's network. Not rumors, not speculation. They had witness statements, flight logs, photographic proof, and they formally requested approval to open criminal investigations into every single name. He placed the document down carefully. "Director Patel," he asked, "do you know how headquarters responded?" Patel didn't speak, so the congressman answered for him. 3 days later, a message came back from FBI leadership. Not recommended at this time. Advise holding action pending further review. Signed by a senior official at headquarters, 30-plus suspects, evidence in hand, and the Bureau's response was, "Wait." "That was 6 years ago," the congressman said. "How long exactly were investigators supposed to wait?" One of Patel's attorneys leaned in, whispering urgently. Patel gave a small shake of the head. He would handle it himself. "Senator," Patel began, "investigative decisions involve many complex factors." "Complex?" the congressman interrupted. "Let me show you what complex looked like." He pulled out the second document. August 10th, 2019, 1 week after Epstein's death. An internal FBI memo sent to every field office. Subject, Epstein matter, case closure. The order was blunt. Effective immediately, all related investigations were to be suspended. Evidence transferred to headquarters for archiving. Archived, the congressman repeated. In FBI language, that means buried. A wave of murmurs rolled across the room. Reporters typed furiously. Committee members exchanged stunned glances. Patel's jaw tightened, just slightly, but everyone saw it. And it didn't stop there, the congressman continued. January 2020, months before Ghislaine Maxwell was even arrested. He read from another internal email. An FBI analyst wrote to a supervisor, "We have sufficient evidence to proceed against Maxwell. Why are we delaying?" The reply came back short and chilling. Political sensitivities, awaiting clearance. The congressman looked directly at Patel. Political sensitivities? Whose politics? Who was worried about the consequences of arresting someone accused of trafficking children? Silence. Patel's hands were pressed flat against the table now, completely still, like he was grounding himself. Next document, the congressman said. March 2021, after Maxwell's conviction, a field agent submitted a report stating, Maxwell had provided names of 47 additional individuals involved in the operation. The agent recommended immediate investigations. Then the congressman pointed to the margin. Handwritten, 2 words, not approved. Below it, high-level decision. He slowly lowered the paper. High level. Someone at the very top of this agency, or above it, decided 47 potential suspects weren't worth pursuing. The room felt heavy, uncomfortable, electric. And that's when the file took an even darker turn, he said. From a different section of the stack, he pulled out a document with a red cover page, stamped across it in bold, top secret. And that's where everything truly changed. The congressman held up the red-covered file. This document, he said, was classified until 72 hours ago, when a federal judge ordered it released. It's dated February 3rd, 2025, just 2 weeks after Patel officially became FBI director. He opened it slowly. It's a memo from the office of the director to every FBI field office and division head. Subject line, Epstein-related investigations, new operational directives. Then he read it word by word. Effective immediately, all active Epstein-related case files are to be transferred to FBI headquarters. No field office is authorized to begin or continue investigative actions without direct approval from the director's office. All scheduled witness interviews are suspended. All pending evidence and document requests are denied pending further review. He looked up. And at the bottom of this memo, Director Patel, that is your signature. The chamber erupted. People shouted from the gallery. Reporters jumped to their feet. Cameras rushed forward. The chairman slammed the gavel again and again. Order! Order in this room! Patel didn't move. His face had drained of color, not nervous pale, but shock white, like the blood had left his body. His lead attorney sprang up so fast his chair scraped loudly. Mr. Chairman, I object to this. Sit down, the congressman snapped coldly. Your client can speak for himself. But Patel said nothing. Behind the witness table, a massive screen displayed the memo. His signature enlarged for everyone to see. 10 feet tall, impossible to deny. The congressman's voice dropped, calm, almost gentle. Director Patel, do you recognize this document? Silence. Do you recognize your own signature? More silence. His lawyer tried again. My client requires time to review. Time, the congressman said, standing up. The room froze. This directive shut down the Epstein investigation. It canceled witness interviews. It blocked evidence requests. It killed every active lead the FBI had. He pointed straight at Patel. And you signed it the same day you met with White House officials. The same day. What did they tell you in that meeting? What did they ask you to do? Patel finally tried to speak. Senator, I was not... Don't, the congressman cut him off. Don't tell me you didn't know. Don't tell me you weren't involved. Your name is on it. He lifted another report. And here's what happened next. After this memo was signed, FBI activity related to Epstein dropped 94%. Witness interviews, 0. Evidence analysis, 0. Field investigations, 0. You didn't slow this case down, Director. You ended it. And now the part every American should be terrified to hear. He pulled out one final document. This is an internal FBI list. First created in 2021, updated again in 2025 during your leadership. The title was chilling. Individuals excluded from Epstein-related investigations. He held it up for the cameras, 47 names, and beside each name, a coded reason. Code A, he read, political sensitivity. He kept reading the codes. 12 names under Code B, diplomatic considerations. 8 names under Code C, national security concerns. Then he stopped, paused, and looked up slowly. And Code D? His voice lowered. Executive branch protection. 12 more names. The room went completely still. Not a single whisper. You could literally hear people breathing. Executive branch protection, he repeated. That means the White House is actively shielding 12 individuals connected to Jeffrey Epstein from FBI investigation. He turned toward Patel. Is that National Security Director? Or is that a cover-up? Patel's attorney jumped to his feet again. Mr. Chairman, my client invokes his Fifth Amendment rights. He will not answer this question or any further questions related to this matter. The chamber erupted, gasps, shouting, pure chaos. The FBI director had just taken the fifth. The man in charge of federal law enforcement was refusing to answer questions about a child trafficking investigation. The congressman didn't look surprised. He nodded slowly, almost like he'd been waiting for it. The Fifth Amendment, he said calmly, the right not to incriminate yourself. He walked back to his desk and gathered the files. Let the record reflect something very clearly. The director of the FBI believes answering questions about the Epstein investigation could incriminate him. Then he looked directly into the cameras. American people, did you hear that? The person responsible for enforcing federal law cannot speak about a trafficking case because it might expose his own wrongdoing. He sat down. These documents will be released to the public tomorrow morning. All 2,300 pages, every email, every order, every protected name. Then one last glance at Patel. The truth always comes out. And today, you made sure the entire country knows you were hiding it. Technically, the hearing continued. Other senators asked questions, but it didn't matter. No one was listening anymore, because what had just happened changed everything. The cover-up had been named, the evidence displayed, the FBI director forced into silence, and within minutes, the internet exploded. Hashtags surged worldwide. Cable news cut into emergency coverage. Legal experts debated whether Patel had just ended his career on live television. And somewhere across the country, in 47 different places, very powerful people were likely making very urgent phone calls. This wasn't rumor anymore. This wasn't theory. This was documented evidence entered into the congressional record, 2,300 pages, and a director who chose silence over explanation. The man who promised transparency just invoked the Fifth Amendment rather than explain why an investigation into 47 Epstein-connected individuals was shut down. And now everything changes, because tomorrow those documents go public. Every name, every code, every shielded person. And when they do, the truth won't be containable anymore. Share this story. This pressure cannot stop, because 3 minutes is all it took to expose years of silence, thousands of pages, one signature, one refusal to speak, and an FBI director with nowhere left to hide.